December 7th, 1941. The Pacific Ocean is not a war zone. It is a postcard. The water in Pearl Harbor is a sheet of black glass reflecting the early morning sun. It is quiet, the kind of quiet that feels heavy, the kind of quiet that lies. On the deck of the USS West Virginia, the air smells of salt, bunker oil, and roasting coffee. The ship is a floating city, a fortress of steel and rivets. She is moored at F6, right in the heart of Battleship Row. To her port side, the open water. To her starboard, the USS Tennessee. The men are sleeping, or they are eating, or they are writing letters to girls back in Iowa and Texas. They believe they are safe. They believe the war is a rumor, a headline in a newspaper halfway across the world. They are wrong. In 2 minutes, this paradise will become a slaughterhouse. Deep inside the steel belly of the West Virginia, a man is waking up. His name is Dorie Miller. His friends call him Dorie. He stands 6 feet 3 inches tall. He weighs over 200 pounds. He is built like a tank. His hands are the size of shovels. Dorie Miller is the heavyweight boxing champion of the USS West Virginia. In the ring, he is a force of nature. He has a left hook that can crack ribs. He has the reflexes of a cat. He is a warrior. But the United States Navy does not see a warrior. They see a mess attendant. The year is 1941. The military is segregated. It is a machine built on rules, and one of those rules is absolute. If you are black, you do not fire guns. You do not lead men. You do not look through the sights of a weapon. You cook, you clean, you shine shoes, you serve food to white officers who are half your size and possess half your courage. Miller is 22 years old. He joined the Navy to see the world, to escape the cotton fields of Waco, Texas. He wanted to be somebody. Instead, he is a servant in a white uniform. This morning, Miller is not manning a battle station. He is below decks. He is collecting laundry. He is sorting dirty socks and shirts. It is mundane work. It is invisible work. Above him, the West Virginia sleeps. She is a Colorado-class battleship. Commissioned in 1923, she is a monster of the Old World. She displaces 32,000 tons. She carries 8 16-inch guns. These guns can hurl a 2,000-pound shell over 20 miles. She is designed to stand in a line of battle and trade blows with other leviathans. She is armored against everything except what is coming. The engineers who built her thought in 2 dimensions. They thought about naval artillery. They thought about shells skipping off the water. They did not think about the sky. 200 miles to the north, the sky is screaming. The Japanese First Air Fleet, the Kido Butai. 6 aircraft carriers cutting through the swells. The Akagi, the Kaga, the Soryu, the Hiruyu, the Shokaku, the Zuikaku. They have launched a swarm. 183 aircraft are in the first wave. They are like angry wasps. The engines are Pratt & Whitney copies and Mitsubishi radials. They drone, a low, vibrating hum that shakes the fillings in your teeth. Among them is the Nakajima B-5N. The Allies call it the Kate. It is a torpedo bomber. It is slow. It is ugly. But it is carrying a secret weapon. The water in Pearl Harbor is shallow, 40 feet deep. Standard torpedoes would dive too deep. They would hit the mud. They would fail. The Americans know this. It is why there are no torpedo nets around the West Virginia. The admirals are confident. They are arrogant. They believe physics is on their side. But the Japanese have cheated physics. They have attached wooden fins to the tails of their Type 91 torpedoes. These fins act as stabilizers. They prevent the deep dive. They allow the torpedo to run shallow, to run true, to run straight into the unprotected guts of the American fleet. 074 hours. Dorie Miller finishes with the laundry. He moves to the mess hall. He is thinking about breakfast. He is thinking about the boxing match scheduled for later in the week. He does not know that the world has already changed. On the bridge of the West Virginia, Captain Mervyn Benyon is preparing for a calm Sunday. He is a good man, respected. He has no idea that a pilot named Shigeharu Murata is looking at his ship through a telescopic sight. The radar station at Opana Point saw them. They called it in. The lieutenant on duty told them not to worry. "Don't worry about it," he said. He thought they were B-17s coming in from the mainland. Hubris. It is the most dangerous weapon in war. It kills more men than bullets. Miller walks through the corridor. The steel walls are painted thick, layers of navy gray. The air is recycled. It is humid. He steps through a hatchway. And then the sound changes. It starts as a buzz, distant, like a chainsaw in the next valley. Then it grows. It becomes a roar. It becomes a physical pressure. The men on the deck look up. They shade their eyes against the sun. They see specks, black dots against the blue. "Drills?" one sailor asks. "On a Sunday," another replies. The dots get bigger. They separate. They form wings. They form fuselages. They form the rising sun painted red on the wings. The first bomb does not hit the West Virginia. It hits a hangar on Ford Island. A plume of black smoke erupts. It looks like ink dropped into water. Then the sirens, the general quarters alarm. Bong, bong. Bong, the sound that every sailor dreads. Dorie Miller freezes. The laundry bag drops from his hand. He knows that sound. It is not a drill. Above him, the Kates are leveling off. They are dropping to 50 feet above the water. They are lining up on Battleship Row. The pilots are calm. They have trained for this. They have practiced on mock-ups of these very ships. The West Virginia is a sitting duck. She is massive. She is stationary. She is the perfect target. A torpedo drops from a Kate. It hits the water with a splash. The wooden fins shatter, having done their job. The motor engages. The propeller spins. The death machine accelerates to 40 knots. It creates a white wake, a finger of foam pointing directly at the West Virginia. Dorie Miller starts to run. He doesn't run away. He runs up, towards the deck, towards the noise. He is a cook. He is a mess attendant. His battle station is the Amidships Anti-Aircraft Battery Magazine. His job is to pass ammunition to the white sailors who are allowed to shoot. He is a cog in the machine. But the machine is about to break. The torpedo closes the distance. 500 yards, 300 yards, 100 yards. The lookout on the West Virginia screams, but it is too late. You cannot move a mountain in 3 seconds. The torpedo impacts the port side, frame 43, below the armor belt. The explosion is not a sound, it is a concussion. It lifts the 32,000-ton ship out of the water. It snaps steel girders like dry twigs. It vaporizes men where they stand. The lights go out. The emergency klaxons scream. The smell of high explosives floods the corridors. Dorie Miller is thrown against a bulkhead. His head cracks against the steel. He tastes blood. He is in the dark. The ship is shuddering. It feels like it is dying. He stands up. He shakes his head. He is dizzy, but he is alive. He doesn't know it yet, but the laundry is done. The cooking is done. The rules of the segregated Navy have just been blown apart by 1,000 pounds of Japanese explosive. Miller finds a ladder. He climbs. He climbs toward the fire. He climbs toward the captain. He climbs toward a destiny that will rewrite the history books. But first, he has to survive the next 5 minutes. Because the first torpedo was just the opening note. The symphony is just beginning. And the West Virginia is taking on water fast. The ship lists. The floor becomes a wall. The wall becomes a ceiling. Dorie Miller emerges onto the deck, and he steps into hell. 075 hours. The world is burning. Dorie Miller steps out of the hatchway and into the apocalypse. The sun is up, but the sky is black. Smoke. Thick, oily smoke. It rolls across the deck of the USS West Virginia like a living thing. It chokes the lungs, it burns the eyes. The ship is screaming. Metal grinds against metal. Steam pipes burst with the sound of gunshots. Men are running. Some are screaming orders. Some are just screaming. Miller tries to find his footing. The deck is no longer flat. It is tilting. The port side is heavy. It is dragging the ship down. The ocean is coming up to meet them. Another explosion rocks the hull. Then another. The Japanese pilots are thorough. They are not satisfied with one hit. They want to break the West Virginia's back. 7 torpedoes. That is the final count. 7 Type 91 torpedoes slam into the port side. They tear open the armor belt like it is made of tin. They turn the watertight compartments into tombs. The ocean rushes in, thousands of tons of water. The ship groans. She lists to 20 degrees. She is dying. Below decks, the lights are dead. The water is rising in the dark. Men are trapped. They pound on the bulkheads with wrenches. They yell for help, but no one is coming. The hatchways are dogged down. It is the cruel math of naval warfare. You seal the compartment to save the ship. You sacrifice the few to save the many. Miller is lucky. He is above the waterline, but he is not safe. The air is filled with lead. Japanese fighters are strafing the deck. 7.7mm machine guns. They chew up the teakwood. They chew up the sailors. The sound is a zipper tearing open the sky. Brr, brr. Miller looks for his battle station. The amidships ammunition magazine. It is gone, destroyed, or maybe just inaccessible. The fire is everywhere. He spots an officer, Lieutenant Commander Dorie C. Johnson. Johnson sees the size of Miller. He sees the power in his shoulders. "Miller!" he yells over the roar of the engines. "The captain! To the bridge!" Miller doesn't hesitate. He moves. He runs up the ladders. The ship is listing so bad he has to use the bulkheads as a floor. On the bridge, the situation is a nightmare. Captain Mervyn Benyon is the commanding officer. He is a Utah native, a Naval Academy graduate. He is 54 years old. He is the brain of the ship. Minutes ago, he stepped out onto the starboard wing of the bridge. He wanted to see the battle. He wanted to command his ship. He never got the chance. A bomb hit the USS Tennessee, moored right next to them. The Tennessee is trapped. The bomb exploded on her center gun turret. It sent a shower of shrapnel flying across the gap. Razor-sharp steel, flying at supersonic speeds. A piece of that steel found Captain Benyon. It hit him in the abdomen. It didn't kill him instantly. It did something worse. It opened him up. When Miller arrives on the bridge, the captain is lying on the deck. He is conscious. He is holding his own intestines in his hands. The blood is bright red against his white uniform. It is slick. It smells of copper. Officers are crowded around him. They are trying to move him, but the bridge is on fire. The paint is bubbling on the walls. The heat is intense. "We have to move him," someone screams. But the captain is a dead weight, and he is in agony. Miller steps forward. The other men part ways. They look at the mess attendant, the man who shines their shoes, the man who serves their coffee. Miller kneels. His face is a mask of stone. He slides his massive arms under the captain. He is gentle, surprisingly gentle. He lifts the dying man. Benyon groans, but he doesn't scream. Miller carries him. He carries him through the smoke. He carries him to a sheltered spot behind the conning tower, a place away from the fire, a place away from the strafing runs. He sets the captain down. He tries to make him comfortable. There is no morphine. There are no bandages. There is only the war. Benyon looks up. His skin is gray. He is going into shock, but his mind is still working. He is still the captain. "Leave me," Benyon whispers. "Fight the ship." He refuses to be evacuated. He wants to know the condition of the magazines. He wants to know if the counterflooding is working. The counterflooding. It is the only thing saving them. Lieutenant Claude Ricketts, the damage control officer, made a cold calculation. The ship was rolling over. To stop it, he ordered the starboard voids to be flooded. He pumped water into the ship. It worked. The West Virginia stopped rolling. She settled into the mud on an even keel. She didn't capsize like the Oklahoma. She sank upright, a fortress sitting on the bottom of the harbor. But the deck is still a killing field. Miller stands up. His uniform is stained with the captain's blood. He looks around. The bridge is a wreck. The officers are busy. They are trying to save the ship. They are trying to put out fires. Miller is useless here. He has done his duty. He has carried the captain. Now, according to the regulations, he should find cover. He should hide. He should wait for orders. But Dorie Miller is not hiding. He looks up. The sky is full of Vols, the IGWA dive bomber. The Val is a predator. Fixed landing gear, elliptical wings. It dives at an 80-degree angle. It screams as it comes down. It carries a 250-kilogram bomb. One of them is lining up on the West Virginia.
Miller looks around the bridge. He sees something. Forward of the bridge, the signal deck. There are 2 guns there. Browning M2 .50 caliber machine guns, water-cooled, heavy barrels. They are anti-aircraft guns. They are the ship's last line of defense. And they are empty. The gunners are dead, or they are missing, or they never made it to their stations. The guns are silent. They are pointing uselessly at the sky. Miller looks at the captain. He is fading. He looks at the officers. They are overwhelmed. He looks at the guns. He has never fired a Browning M2. He has never been trained on it. The Navy says he is not smart enough. The Navy says he is not disciplined enough. The Navy says it is not his place. The Val screams closer. The pilot is committed. He is going to drop that bomb right on top of them. Miller makes a choice. It is not a conscious thought. It is an instinct. It is the fighter in him, the boxer who sees an opening. He steps away from the captain. He steps out from the shelter. He walks into the open. The wind whips his uniform. The heat sings his eyebrows. He walks toward the gun. He puts his hands on the spade grips. The metal is cold. The gun is heavy. It smells of oil. He looks at the ammo belt. It is loaded. He looks at the charging handle. He has seen the white sailors do it. He knows the motion. Rack it back. Let it fly. Clack, clack. The round is chambered. The weapon is live. The Val is diving. The target is locked. Dorie Miller is about to break the law. He is about to break the rules of the United States Navy. And he is about to introduce the Imperial Japanese Navy to the heavyweight champion of the USS West Virginia. The Browning M2 .50 caliber machine gun is not a precision instrument. It is a jackhammer. It weighs 84 pounds. It fires a projectile that is half an inch wide and nearly 6 inches long. The bullet leaves the barrel at 2,900 feet per second. It has enough kinetic energy to punch through an engine block. It can tear a man in half. To fire it, you do not just pull a trigger, you ride it. When the butterfly trigger is depressed, the gun bucks. It vibrates with a violence that rattles the teeth. The recoil is a series of rapid sledgehammer blows to the chest and arms. It requires strength. It requires mass. It requires a user who can become a solid anchor for the weapon's rage. Dorie Miller has the mass. He has the strength. He is the anchor. He squeezes the butterfly trigger. Thump, 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 thump. The sound is different from the Japanese engines. It is deeper. It is a bass drum kicking in the chest. A stream of tracers erupts from the barrel. Every 5th round is a tracer, a burning magnesium flare that paints a line of fire across the sky. Miller watches the line. He doesn't know about lead computing. He doesn't know the math of deflection shooting. He doesn't know that to hit a plane moving at 200 knots, you have to aim where it will be, not where it is. But Dorie Miller is a boxer. In the ring, you don't punch where the opponent's head is, you punch where he is moving.
You anticipate the weave, you anticipate the duck. It is muscle memory, it is instinct. He treats the Japanese plane like a heavyweight opponent. He leads the target. The Aichi D-3A Val is diving. The pilot is focused on the West Virginia. He sees the burning deck. He sees the smoke. He thinks the ship is dead. He thinks the Americans are cowering. He does not see the tracer fire coming up. Not at first. Miller adjusts his aim. He watches the stream of light. It is curving behind the plane. He pulls the gun forward. He wrestles the heavy barrel. The mount swivels. The tracers walk forward. They inch closer to the fuselage. Thump, thump, thump. The brass casings are ejecting. They fly out of the bottom of the gun. They pile up around Miller's feet. Hot brass. It burns his ankles. He doesn't feel it. He is in the zone. The Val pilot realizes his mistake too late. He sees the flashes from the signal deck. He sees the lone gunner standing in the open, a single man defying the might of the Imperial Japanese Navy. The pilot pulls up. He releases his bomb. It goes wide. It splashes harmlessly into the harbor mud. Miller keeps firing. He tracks the plane as it banks away. He sees the tracers merge with the metal skin of the aircraft. Sparks, debris, smoke. Did he kill it? In the chaos of Pearl Harbor, truth is the first casualty. There is no scoreboard. There is no referee. But Lieutenant Frederick White is standing nearby. He is loading the other gun. He sees it. He sees Miller's tracers stitch into the Japanese aircraft. He sees the plane shudder. He sees it trail smoke as it limps away over Ford Island. "I think you got him, Miller," White yells. Miller doesn't smile. He doesn't celebrate. He swings the gun. There are more of them. For the next 15 minutes, Dorie Miller is a machine. He fires until the ammo belt runs dry. Lieutenant White slaps a new one in. Miller racks the slide. He fires again. He is not just shooting at planes. He is shooting at the system. He is shooting at the regulations that said he wasn't good enough. He is shooting at the officers who told him his place was in the galley. With every pull of the trigger, he is proving them wrong. The heat from the gun is intense. The barrel is getting hot. The water jacket is steaming. The smell of burnt gunpowder is thick in his nose. It mixes with the smell of the burning ship. The West Virginia is settling deeper. The fires are spreading. The deck plates are getting hot enough to melt rubber soles. But Miller does not leave his post. He fires at a Kate torpedo bomber skimming the water. He fires at a Zero fighter strafing the Tennessee. He fires at anything with a red circle on its wing. He is a wall of lead. Behind him, Captain Benyon is dying. The captain is fading fast. He has lost too much blood. But he is still conscious. He can hear the gun. Thump, thump, thump. It is the heartbeat of his ship. It is the sound of resistance. Benyon asks Lieutenant Ricketts how the fight is going. Ricketts tells him the ship is lost, but the men are fighting. Benyon nods. He closes his eyes. He will receive the Medal of Honor, posthumously, for refusing to leave his post, for commanding his ship until the very end. And the man protecting his final moments, the man standing guard over his soul, it is the mess attendant. Miller's gun clicks dry. He pulls the trigger. Nothing. "Ammo!" he yells. Lieutenant White shakes his head. "That's it, Dorie. We're out." Miller looks at the gun. The barrel is smoking. The paint on the water jacket is blistered. The pile of brass around his feet is shin deep. He lets go of the spade grips. His hands are shaking now. The adrenaline is dumping. The vibration is still humming in his bones. He looks out at the harbor. It is a graveyard. The USS Arizona is gone. Just gone. A tomb for 1,000 men. The USS Oklahoma has capsized. Her bottom hull is sticking out of the water like the belly of a dead whale. He lets go of the spade grips. His hands are shaking now. The adrenaline is dumping. The vibration is still humming in his bones. He looks out at the harbor. It is a graveyard. The USS Arizona is gone. Just gone. A tomb for 1,000 men. The USS Oklahoma has capsized. Her bottom hull is sticking out of the water like the belly of a dead whale. The USS California is sinking. The Japanese are leaving. The second wave is finishing up. They are turning back to their carriers, back to the Akagi, back to the champagne and the victory toasts. They have won. They have broken the Pacific Fleet. But they have made a mistake, a fatal mistake. They have woken the giant, and they have taught men like Dorie Miller that they are not invincible. The order comes down the line. Abandon ship. The West Virginia is lost. The fires are out of control. The magazines could cook off at any second. Miller looks at Captain Benyon. The captain is gone. He died quietly, amidst the noise of the gun. Miller helps move the body. Even in death, he does not leave his captain behind. They try to carry him down, but the fires are too heavy. They have to leave him on the bridge, sheltered, respectful. But they have to save the living. Miller moves to the rail. The water is 60 feet down, but the water is also on fire. Oil from the ruptured tanks has leaked out. It is floating on the surface, and it is burning. To survive, he has to jump. To survive, he has to swim through fire. He looks at his hands. The hands that scrubbed pots. The hands that boxed. The hands that just fired 1,000 rounds of high-explosive defiance. He climbs over the railing. The battle is over. The survival story is just beginning. 09:45 hours. The attack is over. The silence is worse than the noise. The Japanese planes are gone. They have returned to their carriers, leaving behind a harbor that looks like the surface of a dead planet. The sky is black with smoke. The water is black with oil. The air is black with soot. Dorie Miller stands on the edge of the signal deck. The heat from the fires behind him is unbearable. The paint on the bulkheads is blistering, peeling away like dead skin. The steel deck plates are radiating heat through the soles of his shoes. Below him, the water is a nightmare. It is a soup of bunker fuel, salt water, and wreckage, and in patches, it is burning. Orange flames lick the surface, fed by the leaking arteries of the battleship. "Abandon ship!" The order echoes down the line. It is not a shout. It is a resignation. Miller looks at the men around him. They are dazed. Their white uniforms are black with grime and red with blood. Some are burnt. Their skin hangs in sheets. They look like ghosts. He has to jump. He takes a breath. The air tastes of sulfur. He climbs over the railing. He pushes off. He falls. He hits the water. It is warm. Too warm. It is thick. It coats him instantly. The oil gets in his eyes, his nose, his mouth. It tastes like poison. He surfaces, gasping. He wipes the sludge from his eyes. He is swimming in the blood of the West Virginia. He swims. He uses his powerful arms to cut through the muck. He swims away from the ship, away from the heat, away from the possibility of the magazines exploding. He reaches the shore of Ford Island. He drags himself out of the water. He is heavy. His uniform is soaked in oil. He collapses on the sand. He is alive. But survival is just the first step. For the next few weeks, Pearl Harbor is a scene of grim recovery. They are pulling bodies out of the water. They are cutting into the hulls of the capsized ships to find survivors. They are counting the dead. 2,403 Americans killed, 1,177 from the USS Arizona alone. Dorie Miller is put to work. There is no time for rest. There is no time for trauma counseling. He is a mess attendant. There are officers to feed. There are decks to clean. But something is happening. A whisper. A rumor. The men of the West Virginia are talking. They are talking about the black sailor on the bridge. The one who carried the captain. The one who grabbed the machine gun. He shot down a plane, they say. He shot down 2, others claim. He fired until the gun melted. The story grows. It spreads from ship to ship. It spreads to the mainland. But the Navy? The Navy is silent. The official report from the West Virginia mentions a Negro mess attendant who manned a gun. It does not name him. It does not give him credit. Why? Because Dorie Miller is a problem. He breaks the narrative. The Navy's official stance is that black sailors are not capable of combat duties. They are not intelligent enough to operate complex machinery. They lack the discipline for battle. If they admit that Dorie Miller, an untrained cook, outperformed trained white gunners, they admit that their system is a lie. They admit that segregation is not based on fact, but on fear. So, they try to bury it. They want to give him a commendation letter, a pat on the back, a good job, boy. But the press gets wind of it. The Pittsburgh Courier, the Chicago Defender. The black press in America is hungry for heroes. They hear the rumors. They start digging. Who was the Negro hero of Pearl Harbor? The headlines scream. They demand a name. The Navy drags its feet. They claim they can't identify him. It is a stalling tactic. They hope the story will die. They hope the public will forget. But the public does not forget. The story becomes a symbol. It becomes a weapon in the fight for civil rights. Finally, on March 14, 1942, 3 months after the attack, the Navy relents. They release the name Dorie Miller. The floodgates open. Senators start writing letters. The NAACP demands a Medal of Honor. He deserves what a white man would get, they argue. A white sailor who did what Miller did, he would be on the cover of Life magazine. He would be touring the country selling war bonds. He would have the Medal of Honor around his neck before the smoke cleared. But Miller gets the Navy Cross. It is the second highest award for valor. It is prestigious. It is historic. He is the first African American to receive it. But it is not the Medal of Honor. May 27, 1942. The deck of the USS Enterprise. Admiral Chester Nimitz, the commander-in-chief of the Pacific Fleet, stands tall. He is a legend. He pins the cross on Miller's chest. Nimitz speaks. This marks the first time in this conflict that such high tribute has been made in the Pacific Fleet to a member of his race. It is a backhanded compliment. A member of his race. Even in honoring him, they separate him. Miller stands stoic. He does not smile. He accepts the medal. He accepts the handshake. He is a hero now. His face is on recruitment posters. Above and beyond the call of duty. But he is still a mess attendant. The Navy does not promote him to gunner's mate. They do not send him to officer candidate school. They send him back to the galley. He is a hero who can shoot down a Japanese bomber, but he is not allowed to sit at the same table as the men he saved. He is transferred to the USS Liscum Bay, an escort carrier, a jeep carrier. It is smaller, slower, more vulnerable. He is still serving food. He is still cleaning up. But Dorie Miller has changed, and the country has changed. He has proven that courage is not a color. He has proven that when the chips are down, when the fire is burning, a man is a man. But the war is not over, and the Liscum Bay is heading into dangerous waters. November 1943, Operation Galvanic, the invasion of the Gilbert Islands. The Liscum Bay is steaming near Makin Atoll. The water is infested with Japanese submarines. The I-175, a Japanese sub commanded by Lieutenant Commander Sunao Tabata, he is hunting. He sees the silhouette of the carrier against the moonlight. He orders the tubes flooded. Dorie Miller is below decks. He is likely sleeping. Or maybe he is awake, thinking about Texas, thinking about the medal in his locker. He does not know that the clock is ticking again. He survived the fire of Pearl Harbor. He survived the politics of Washington. But war is a greedy monster. It always comes back for more. November 24, 1943, 5:10 hours. The Pacific is dark. The moon is waning. The USS Liscum Bay is cruising 20 miles off the coast of Makin Atoll. She is not a battleship. She is an escort carrier, CV-56. The sailors call them jeep carriers. They call them baby flat tops. They call them Kaiser coffins. They are built for speed, not survival. They are built cheap. They are built fast. Welded steel plates, thin skin, no heavy armor belt, no torpedo protection systems. They are floating runways designed to ferry planes and hunt submarines. Dorie Miller is on board. He is now a petty officer 3rd class. The Navy gave him the rank, but they kept him in the galley. He is still a cook. He is still serving the officers. He is 24 years old. He has seen the face of war. He has worn the medal. He has shaken the admiral's hand. He has been the poster boy for a Navy that still doesn't know what to do with him. He is likely awake. The ship is at general quarters. It is the morning alert, the dangerous time, the time when the submarines like to hunt.
Deep below the surface, the 175 is waiting. Lieutenant Commander Sunao Tabata is watching the American formation. He sees the target. He doesn't know who is on board. He doesn't know he is about to kill an American icon. He just sees a silhouette. He fires. The torpedo spreads are loose, but one of them finds its mark. It strikes the Liscome Bay on the starboard side, aft of the engine room. On a battleship like the West Virginia, this would be a bad hit. On a Casablanca-class escort carrier, it is a death sentence. The torpedo slams into the hull. It punches through the thin steel like paper. It detonates. But the torpedo explosion is not what kills the ship. The torpedo hits the bomb magazine. Inside the magazine, there are thousands of pounds of aircraft bombs, torpedoes, depth charges, high explosives stacked floor to ceiling. The shockwave from the Japanese torpedo sets them off. All of them at once. The explosion is visible for miles. Witnesses on the USS New Mexico, miles away, see a flash that turns the night into noon. A column of fire shoots 1,000 feet into the air. It looks like a volcano erupting in the middle of the ocean. The Liscome Bay does not sink, she disintegrates. The entire aft section of the ship is vaporized. The flight deck peels back like the lid of a sardine can. Planes parked on the deck are tossed into the air like toys. Debris rains down on the surrounding ships, pieces of steel, pieces of clothing, pieces of men. It takes 23 minutes for the remains of the Liscome Bay to vanish beneath the waves. 544 men are lost. Among them is Dorie Miller. There is no body to recover. There is no final stand. There is no machine gun. Just a flash of light and then nothing. The hero of Pearl Harbor is gone. For months, the Navy lists him as missing in action. His parents in Waco, Texas, wait for a letter. They wait for news. They hope he is on a life raft. They hope he is a prisoner. But the ocean does not give up its dead. On November 25, 1944, a year and a day after the explosion, the Navy officially declares him dead. The news hits Black America like a physical blow. The Pittsburgh Courier runs the headline, "The man who proved that courage has no color is gone." But in his death, Dorie Miller becomes something more dangerous to the establishment than he ever was in life. He becomes a martyr. The double V campaign gains momentum. Victory at home, victory abroad. You cannot ask a man to die for his country in the Pacific and then deny him a seat at the lunch counter in Alabama. The hypocrisy is too loud. The silence of the Navy is too deafening. Miller's ghost haunts the Pentagon. Slowly, painfully, the wheels begin to turn. In 1948, President Harry S. Truman signs Executive Order 9981. It desegregates the United States Armed Forces. No more mess attendant restrictions, no more separate bunks, no more separate blood banks. It is too late for Dorie Miller, but it is because of him. He was the battering ram. He was the first crack in the wall. For decades, his legacy is honored in small ways. A dining hall here, a barracks there. A frigate, the USS Miller, FF1091, is commissioned in 1973. It is a nice gesture. But it is a small ship. The Navy still hesitates to give him the big one. The Medal of Honor remains elusive. Politicians argue, historians debate. He only shot down one plane, they say. It wasn't sustained combat.
They miss the point. The point wasn't the plane. The point was the moment. The point was the choice. But history has a way of correcting itself. January 20, 2020, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Pearl Harbor. The same harbor where the West Virginia burned. The same harbor where Miller swam through oil. Acting Secretary of the Navy Thomas Maudley stands at a podium. He makes an announcement that shakes the foundations of naval tradition. The Navy is building a new aircraft carrier, the Gerald R. Ford class, the most powerful warship in human history, 100,000 tons of nuclear-powered diplomacy. Usually, these ships are named after presidents: Washington, Lincoln, Kennedy, Ford. Not this one. CVN-81 will be named the USS Dorie Miller. It is the first time an aircraft carrier has been named after an enlisted sailor. It is the first time an aircraft carrier has been named after an African American. The mess attendant, the cook. The man who wasn't allowed to touch a gun. He will now have his name on a ship that carries 75 aircraft and enough firepower to level a nation. It is the ultimate verdict. Dorie Miller did not just defend the West Virginia. He defended the idea of what America could be. He defended the promise, even when the promise was broken. He was a man who found himself in the middle of hell, stripped of his rights, stripped of his dignity, and stripped of his hope. And what did he do? He didn't run. He didn't hide. He didn't wait for permission. He picked up the gun and he fought. The West Virginia was raised from the mud. She was repaired. She went back to war. She was there in Tokyo Bay when the Japanese surrendered. Dorie Miller wasn't there to see it, but his spirit was in the steel. The lesson of Dorie Miller is not about marksmanship. It is not about how many planes he hit. It is about the fuse. At 7:55 on December 7, 1941, the world tried to tell Dorie Miller who he was. The Navy told him he was a servant. The Japanese told him he was a victim. He rejected both. He was a warrior. And in the end, the system that tried to hold him back had to build a 100,000-ton monument just to carry the weight of his name.